we're going to start off with just a very short group input exercise. And we're not actually going to do it right now. I'm just going to tell you about it. And then you can do it or not do it as we go through the meeting. So I'm sure you noticed on your chairs there is a little bundle of Post-it notes. There is 3 of each color. And we've got some panels in the back. Each one is color-coded with a question. So sometime today I'd like you to write down on the appropriate Post-it note and stick up on the panel your answers to some of these questions. And I gave you extra Post-it notes for each color, so if you have multiple ideas, that's great. We'd love to hear them. I got more notes up there if you want it out. So for the orange notes, the question is, if you could make one change to the Technology Users Group meeting, what would it be? So that's a nicer way of saying, what's wrong with this meeting? What would you like to see us do differently? The green note is for, what do you find most valuable about the Technology Users Group meeting? We're always looking for information on what you like out of this meeting, what you don't find as useful, so that we can craft future agendas. And then finally, speaking of which, the yellow notes are for the question, what topics would you like to see us address in future meetings? So again, you don't have to do that right now. Anytime during the meeting, just feel free to stick some notes up there. There are pens and pencils in the little red bucket on the counter. And I can't wait to see what we come up with. Okay. Enterprise. At the last board meeting, the board gave us approval to change our discovery layer from Aqua Browser to Enterprise. This was following up on a recommendation that had come from the Joint ILS Operations and Technology Policy Committee, which in turn had started as a recommendation from SELCO staff. So we're getting a new catalog. Why are we getting a new catalog? You might very well ask. Aqua Browser basically works. While none of us are 100% happy with it, I think most of us would agree that it essentially does the job. But we've had it now for 3 years. 3 years this month, as a matter of fact. And we felt that things have changed a lot in the field. New products have come out. New developments have happened in the field of library discovery layers. And that just made it a good time to look around. Also, we here at SELCO, who deal with the Aqua Browser people on a fairly regular basis, still find them very good to work with. But I think it's safe to say we're getting a sense that they're sort of marking time at this point. I don't really get a sense that they're pushing forward too much. They seem to be pretty content with their product, and not a whole lot is changing. So it seemed like a good time for us to do a survey of the marketplace, see what's out there, and see whether it was time to make a change. So we had a team here at SELCO consisting of myself, Tyler Irvin, and Cheryl Hill. We took a look at 4 discovery layers. Let's bring that document up. This chart is a little small for you to read in the seats, so I will try to read it to you. It will be on the website as part of the handouts. It's already on the website as part of the board meeting handouts for December. We looked at Aqua Browser, our existing solution. We looked at BiblioCore, which is from the BiblioCommons company. We looked at VUFind. That's an open source solution, so we chose to look at the implementation that MinPals has set up. That's a association that we all are familiar with. And we looked at Cersei Dynix's Enterprise. These numbers were based on number of Horizon sites. So in order for us to review one of the products, we were only looking for products that are in current use with 15 Horizon sites or more. There are about 24 more discovery layers out there which are not used by any Horizon location. And we decided not to make ourselves crazy trying to look at those. We don't really want to be quite that cutting edge with our discovery layer. So by looking at just Horizon locations, we were able to narrow this down pretty nicely. The team set up demos with each of the companies. We did not do a demo for Aqua Browser. We felt that we had enough experience and knowledge of that product that we didn't need to bring them in to show us anything. We rated the products on a scale. The ILS Operations Committee asked us to come up with a consumer reports style chart that they could look at. So this was our best attempt to do that. Again, the lettering is kind of small, but I'll just tell you the categories at the top are capital cost, ongoing cost, horizon integration, flexibility, mobile solution. That's one key issue with Opera Browser. They don't have a mobile solution. Search and display, user-generated content, support, their implementation, and other features. And we rated those on a 4-point scale, which are represented by the little graphics that you see there. In general, black is good on this. So when you see one that is completely white, that basically represents a 1. Completely unacceptable. When it's all dark, that's a 4. Whatever else you want to say about Opera Browser, it's got a pretty good right now because we've already made the purchase and we're just paying maintenance. So without going through all of the chart, the team decided strongly that Enterprise was our recommendation. It integrates with Horizon very well, which you would hope since it's produced by Cersei Dynix. There have been issues in the past with some functionality not being there for Horizon, but they've got that resolved now, so the feature set is the same regardless of whether you're using Symfony or Horizon. They have a suite of products that they're offering that work around it. Now, some of those products we haven't had good experiences with. We're still trying to get their mobile solution to work, but we're hopeful that we will get that. They also have a Facebook product that ties in with it. They've been working with Overdrive to integrate ebooks into the catalog using an API, which shows a lot of promise for possibly bypassing the Overdrive website. You just click the title and it starts to download right from the catalog. That got our attention. So, long story short, Enterprise came out on top, and that's the recommendation that we made. Since we just got the approval in December, we immediately signed the contract with Cersei Dynix. We are just now starting the process of planning the implementation. So I will tell you frankly, right now we still have more questions than answers about exactly how we're setting this up and when it's going to go live. But I will tell you how things are starting to shape up right now. The best I can nail down the launch date right now is the second half of this calendar year, 2013. We will hopefully soon be starting to whittle that down as we start to get a better idea of what their process is and where their implementation team is. But I think it's safe to say that sometime from July through December of this year is when we'll be going live with this product. The very first thing we have to do right out of the gate is a Horizon upgrade. We are on Horizon 7.5.1 right now. We need to be on 7.5.2 in order for all the features to be there. And there are some other good reasons to make the upgrade as well. So, Janya has been working with Cersei Dynix to get that scheduled. It's not as big an upgrade as 7.5.1 was, but it's also not trivial. They are telling us to expect probably about 4 hours of downtime. We are working with them to schedule a time to do this on a weekend evening. That does cost us a little extra, but Ann and I talked about it and agreed that it was a good expenditure to get this done. So ideally, we'll be doing it on a Saturday night, early Sunday morning. But their implementation team still needs to get back to us with some dates. So if I had to guess right now, I would say it's probably going to be March or possibly April before we can get that upgrade done. But we're still working on the scheduling. While that's happening, the SELCO staff are preparing to attend Cersei Dynix's training. This is training on how to administer the catalog. So it's not using the catalog, it's all the back-end stuff. How to set up the interface, how to run the indexes, how to do all that kind of stuff. And Tyler's in the process of setting that up for us right now. So we're going to be attending several training classes. We don't have to travel for that. We'll just be doing it right here via online meetings. And then with that information, we have a whole lot of paperwork to fill out. Lots of questionnaires, basically. What are all the names of the libraries? What are the URLs? All that kind of stuff. Now, once we get that filled out, they'll start deploying the catalog. This is a software as a service solution. So we will not be running it on a server here at SELCO. They don't even offer that option with this product. And that's okay, because personally I would rather do it this way anyway. It'll be hosted in a data center that Cersei Dynix maintains. along with a whole lot of other customer catalogs. So presumably they will have much higher end power infrastructure, internet infrastructure, disaster recovery infrastructure, and hopefully reliability should be a little bit better. So we're going to be trusting that to them. And it also decreases the costs for us. We're not going to have to set up another virtual server for this. Once we get the questionnaires filled out, then we'll start setting it up in their data center, and then we will be able to start making configurations. And that's really kind of the tricky part right now, is what are the configurations going to be? We have 89 libraries. They are independent libraries. There is a certain need for some customization for each site. With Aqua Browser, we give you each a banner, for example. We know we want to do something like that here, but we're still trying to get a good feel for exactly what the options are. We are looking at enterprise sites online right now, but that only really tells us so much. So we're still sort of getting our heads around that. And then we will need to gather input from you as well. And we are still having some conversations internally about how best to do that. When we went to Aqua Browser, we had a ginormous committee. And it met a lot. And there were a lot of meetings, and there was a lot of overhead associated with that. A lot of paper got printed and then thrown away 2 hours later. I don't know that we're going to take quite that same approach. We're going to be talking about it with the ILS Operations and Technology Policy Joint Committee in their January meeting to kind of get some feelings from them about how they want to proceed with this. What I'm kind of hoping we will do is that we'll have the catalog live someplace where you can look at it, with authentication, of course, because we don't want the general public getting into it, so that you can see it as it evolves and give us feedback, while at the same time we'll be making regular updates to the ILS Operations Committee. That's kind of what I'm thinking right now, but I want to hear what they have to say. They probably have a better idea, so we'll see what they come up with. We know that we want to do usability testing for this. We did some patron testing with Aqua Browser. I think in hindsight, we probably should have done more. So we're going to try and bake that into the process right up front. We'll also want to do usability testing with library staff so that we get both perspectives. Those of you who have participated in the usability testing we've been doing for our website are going to be familiar with that protocol, and that's probably going to be how we do it. We bring people in, we ask them to perform a few tasks, and then we watch them. And where they struggle, that tells us where we need to fix things. So we'll probably do some variation of that process. And then finally, there will need to be some training for library staff on the actual use of the catalog. Anytime you have one of these products, your goal is always to make it so intuitive and easy that no training is needed. After all, your patrons are sitting at home using it. They're not getting any training. But on the other hand, we also know that to just bypass training altogether would be a mistake. And library staff certainly use these products in ways that the patrons do not. So there will be some provision for training. And that's pretty much the process as far as I know right now. I'm hoping to get a lot more information in the next few weeks. Before I show you some enterprise catalogs, though, I want to pause and take any comments or questions. Oh, there's got to be one. Yeah, Randy.
That's it over there to go support my discovery stuff from Aqua Browser, the catalog that people have set up listed, please.
Yeah, that is something we're going to need to do because the catalog enterprise does have its My List feature, which will be integrated in Horizon, and we will need to be able to make some provision for pulling that information over. So that will be part of the process. I don't know exactly how that's going to work yet. We'll need some cooperation from Aqua Browser on that. Yes?
From the school point of view, a good launch date goal would be the opening of the school year.
Okay. So to come back from the summer break and have the catalog in place? Yeah. Okay, I always kind of wondered whether that's the best way to do it or whether that just messes you up when you've got something new to learn on top of everything else that's going on. So that's good to know. I see some head nodding. Any other school folks want to weigh in on that? Obviously, we can't go live in the summer. Summer reading is going on then. There's way too much happening. And frankly, I don't think we can pull this thing together that fast anyway. So that's just fine. Fall or early winter is probably looking the most likely running this thing as a software, as a service platform. We already have a catalog in place that's working just fine, and the two can coexist very well. Now, we're obviously not going to run two catalogs forever, but since we have a catalog in place that is essentially working, if we get this thing ready to go, and there's maybe some good reason to put off launching it for a few weeks because the timing is better, we have the luxury of doing that. So we do have some options here when we pick our launch date. Other questions or comments? Anyone from ILS Ops want to chime in? Okay.
My question for the public libraries is, so if we were to accommodate the schools, would we just absolutely be crazy to try and do it in late August for public? I'm saying no, that's okay.
Late August is pretty quiet.
Late August, summer reading program is done.
Yeah.
We've taken a breath.
Yeah. Late August is good.
Now, I do understand if you don't want to come back, start the kids out in school on the old catalog, do all of your bibliographic instruction, and oh, by the way, in November, change it all again.
So let me ask this question then. We would never want to launch a half-baked catalog. But we also want a catalog that's going to grow and evolve. I think if the internet has shown anything, it's that static solutions don't generally work for very long. So if we were to launch a catalog in August that still had less essential features being added or maybe being refined, or maybe graphics being refined as we go forward, assuming this is not messing up any of the basic functionality, how do people feel about that?
If they can find the book, you know, if they can
They
write
want
it in and get the call, I mean, really, at that point,
Well, we heard from the staff members at Dakota County, because they sort of tried that approach. It drove the staff crazy. The public do what they wanted, because but for whatever reason, the Dakota County contract for Aqua Browser and their move to enterprise needed to be like this. And so what we heard from the staff was the staff wasn't real satisfied because there were certain features they knew they were supposed to have that they couldn't get at. I don't know that the public, Lisa, ever knew that the catalog wasn't fully developed.
but we can still always go back to the horizon.
Yeah. I feel like most of
And isn't that what happens
Yeah.
anyway? I mean, you've added features in Aqua Browser, you know, over time, and we go, oh, drat, and then the next day everything's fine. You know, we're missing something. I hope you're only doing those drafts. I mean, it wasn't all the way it is now to begin with anyway.
I will say that that was one of our visions with Aqua Browser, was that it would continue to evolve and get better. And I don't know that I feel like we've been able to do that as much as we had hoped to, because it's a relatively static platform. It's a heck of a lot more open than anything that was on the market bundled with the ILSs. But compared to some of the things that are out there now, it's starting to look a little bit static. So I am hoping for a little more evolution and a little more growth as we go forward.
So Aqua Browser, remember, is one of many, many pieces of software that Serial Solution owns. And as you look at their hierarchy,
We have seen some decrease in progress with them as
Yeah.
they became part of the Serial Solutions family.
it's down here rather than it's not getting high level attention.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
As a staff member, I mean, I use Aqua Browser when they're saying, like, it's on page 4 when I went through the different catalog, or if I need to find out what the book actually looks like. But my main base is Horizon. So really, if the public can find, you know, it's supposed to be on the shelf here, if you can build off of that at any time,
I would agree.
Yeah,
But
Randy.
I just want to make sure it's at least it's capable of Aqua Browser.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
You're going to give people a new product that
Absolutely. That's not an excuse for putting out something that's half-baked with key functionality missing.
although we still have a lot of patrons that can't figure out Aqua Browser.
Yeah.
They still can't find a call number because it doesn't say call number anymore.
Well, it does when you go in, but they
No.
don't know to click in.
Well, that's what I'm
Right,
saying.
right. It's not
Instead of
obvious. Click on call number. No, find in a library. What does that mean?
nothing.
The patron. Yeah. So they still don't know how to find anything.
Okay, well, I'm excited by the fact that mobile services is.
Yeah. And if overdrive comes through, that'll be.
That's,
Yeah. The overdrive thing is super exciting. I will tell you that the product that makes that possible, we did also purchase. It has not been released yet, and I'm still trying to find out when that's coming out. So there was a certain vaporware element to that. But they keep telling me it's any time now. So I've asked for more clarification on that. So let's take a look at some Aeropress catalogs. Now, as always, these reflect the way these libraries chose to set the catalog up. So our mileage may vary, but this will give you some ideas of the basic interface. I think you'll see certain things in common. This is the Cedar Rapids Public Library. They've chosen to go with a fairly clean interface. Most of the enterprise catalogs I've seen do incorporate these bestseller lists. I've seen others besides New York Times on here, so I know there are some options there. And then they've got kind of the cool iTunes style, whatever that's called, title view, title scroll. So let's just look for something.
Can you tell us what you're typing? Because some of us can't read that part.
Harry Potter,
Okay.
which is probably not the best search to start with, but it'll get us a lot of hits right away. The results list is not too dissimilar from what we've got right now with Aqua Browser. It does give availability numbers right here. See if that helps.
So we still have to click a secondary to get the call?
That is correct. And they have chosen to call it shelf number. I don't know for sure that that is customizable, but I believe that it is. And then they've got information from other sources in here.
I have a question. So it's just showing the 3 available copies on that list. So if there were other copies, it's not showing those?
I believe that that is all the copies. Let's see if we can find another one that has some checked out. By making my display a little larger, I think I've made this a little harder to work with. Pull it back down.
Sorry, you don't have to make it large just because I can't read it.
Oh, it's okay. No, it's a valid point.
That's the problem with getting all, everything is fuzzy.
Second one that has 0 available. Try that.
Okay. I was looking for one that had more copies. Okay, here's one with 5. So yeah, these are, some are checked out, some are on hold. A lot of things. So it does show all the copies, not just the ones that are available. Yeah.
So if we were to, we're just kind of discussing that, with every library doing kind of a different call number, would there be a way that the home library call could show up
Yeah.
on that first page?
I will have to ask. I don't know if that's possible or not, but it's certainly a good solution.
We've got some conversation going on between Tyler and Cheryl, so we'll check on that.
That's the kind of things that we're still trying to find out, and that's what this training is all about, that we're supposed to go to, is to start giving us some better ideas of what you can do.
So is it set up so if you hit place hold, it will take the first available copy, but if you get further in there, can you request a specific copy?
I believe that's going to be based more on how your Horizon implementation is set up, or I don't know, they may be using Symphony here. That's more of a Horizon setting, I believe.
And also remember that this is Cedar Rapids Public Library, so it's a single library. Single library. Right.
I don't know if this one's going to tell us that.
But it's
Yes, they have told us that we can do item-specific holds.
We can. Okay.
I mean, Horizon allows them, so this product will as well. They do facets off to the side. It's not completely dissimilar from Aqua Browser. The standard is to put the facets on the left side, which is a little different from what we've got, but I believe that that can be changed as well. One interesting thing, I don't know if people will like it or find it confusing, is you can actually select facets and then either include those, thus drilling down the way we do now, or exclude them from the search, which is sort of a reverse drill down. And I have not seen this in other enterprise catalogs, but Cedar Rapids does have a button here to only show titles that have available copies. So that presumably is something we can do if we want to. It's obviously optional because there are other enterprise catalogs I've looked at that don't have that. You can modify the way the titles are listed. The patron can, I should say. So if they want the standard list view or more of a panel, they can do that. And then there's this kind of weird, crazy thing they call Cool Iris that I'm not really sure exactly what the utility of it is, but there it is. So, yeah. So that's the basic search interface. And I'm going to have to kind of hustle along here because I've only got about 5 minutes left.
As far as requests, would it have request this copy only or first available copy?
We believe that's based on how you have requests set up in Horizon. We do know that some Horizon libraries do that kind of thing, so that would be reflected. But requests are handled by the Horizon server rather than this, so it's going to have more to do with how we've got that set up. This is the catalog for the South Australian Public Library Network, which, despite being way on the other side of the world, is actually a pretty close match for SELCO in a lot of ways. They have quite a number of independent libraries, which are all listed over here. They have got theirs set up so that you can search the entire consortia right here, or you can click one of the library links and go to a profile that's been set up for them, which I believe searches just their library. And if we look at a few of these, what they have done is they have used the same basic template for all of these, but they have allowed the libraries some freedom in what they put over here in the sidebar. So the Maui Libraries has information on BookMine and the SA1 card network, while Adelaide City has got information on contacts. And I've seen others from this consortium that put hours of operation over here. And then it looks like each of the libraries has been allowed to pick its own color scheme, as well as some kind of banner, while they're maintaining the consortial logo over here. So that's not too dissimilar from what we've done with Aqua Browser. I'm not saying this is the only way a consortium can be set up in Enterprise. This is the one that they gave to us as a good SELCO-like example for us to take a look at. And then I think they work much the same way. Kangaroos, good Australian search. And this looks very similar to Cedar Rapids. They have the basic search display over here. They have their facets over here. You can modify how the search results are sorted up there. I've seen other catalogs that did not have the sort by, so I know that that's an optional thing. And that's essentially it. Yes?
Am I seeing that there's a facet to search by branch or library? Is that the top one there?
Yes.
So you could potentially, so instead of Aqua Browser where you can only, if you want to select a library, you can only select one. Here you can select multiple.
Correct. And that does imply that this is searching the
Yeah.
Actually, that looks like is that a comparison source or are they branches of this one? What profile are you under?
I'm in Adelaide City, and I'm seeing Aldinga and Alexandria, Beachport. Easy way to find out. Beachport is listed right here. If we go to the consortial page, I do not see a beach port.
Oh.
So that may well be branches. But again, that's just one implementation. And so the way they do that is not necessarily the way we would have to. So that is the catalog as we know it so far. Again, we have to go to this training and we'll know a lot more at that point about how this works and what we can configure. But this is what we're knowing right now. Any last questions or comments? All right. You're going to be hearing a lot more about this at the May Users Group meeting, and it's going to pretty much be a standing agenda item for the ILS Operations and Technology Policy Joint Committee. And we'll probably try to identify some other ways to get information out there as well. We'll have that conversation in January, and then we'll know a little more about how best to set this up. So, all right. Tyler, I believe you are next. Tyler's going to talk to us about ebooks, which also has become sort of a standing agenda item. You know what you want, so I will just let you set it up.
Okay. Okay, yay. I even looked back and found the same theme that I used last time. There might be some of you that don't know me. I'm Tyler Irvin, Technology Support Librarian. I've been doing this job since May, more or less. But part of my job is ebooks, and since we just reached the end of the year, I figured it's a good time to do a little summary on the region and then some other updates. I was hoping that we would be able to show you the new back end, the content reserve part of it, but they haven't released it. Go figure. They said it was going to be out by the end of the year. It's already January 8th. Okay. So for our ebook collection here at SELCO, there are a few numbers I'd like to point out. We have 7,442 total items in the collection now. That's 6,958 of them are unique. The rest of them are copies. Because as you know, most of the titles are simultaneous access. We have to buy one to be able to have one person access it. And if buy a second one to have a second person access it. So we have 10 copies of The Help and 13 of 50 Shades of Grey.
You don't have to let us know that.
Yes, I do. As you can see, most of the collection is still ebooks as opposed to e-audiobooks. It's developed that way over the last year or so. It originally started out more 50-50, but we're finding the ebooks are more popular than the e-audiobooks, partially because of the fact they can be returned early, while only MP3 audiobooks can be returned early. Now, I did some comparisons against the Horizon system, and the ebook collection accounts for 0.5% of the combined library holdings, public library holdings in the region. So I did a tally, added up the complete holdings for all the public libraries in the region, compared it to the ebooks, and it's about 0.5% worth. And as for patrons, we have over 9,000 registered patrons for our ebook collection, which, again, compared to public library patron registration, that's 7.6%. So we have a fair number of people out there who are registered for ebooks. I would like to point out this is for active patrons that have been active, had a checkout transaction since 2010, just so you know how I got my number for that one. Okay, and here's our circulation for the last 2 years, starting back when the program began. So you can see it's jumped considerably right about the beginning of last year. I am anticipating that might happen again this year, considering the jump that we had around Christmas. For overall, we had a 162% increase. That's 260% of the circulation of 2011 in 2012. So we've had a lot of increase. And we had an average of 233 checkouts daily this last year, with a high of 417 the day after Christmas. So even though my blog post was Christmas Day about a new record being reached, the next day we went even higher, which required me bringing in treats for the SELCO staff, because we do that to celebrate. So that's not a big surprise, as e-readers are a fairly popular Christmas gift. And then the next day, everyone's like, I want to read something, but I want to buy it. Let's go to the library. I'm happy to see that many people have been able to figure out how to use the Overdrive app without that much issue, because we've been monitoring things at SELCO. We haven't had that much of an increase in patron requests for help with their e-readers here. Some of you I've heard from that you have. I don't know about the majority, though. Okay, now, this is an interesting stat. These are our top ebook searching libraries. By volume, Owatonna comes in first by a fair percentage. Then we have Winona, Red Wing, Northfield, and Buckham, all fairly major libraries, so no surprise there, all our larger libraries. But if we go by percentage of CERC, I looked into the CERC for every library for 2012, compared the ebook percentage to their total percentage, and Brownsdale actually comes in first with more than 2% of their CERC being ebook related. And remember, for average sake, it's probably about 0.5% of their collection would be ebooks. And then we have Lanesboro, Preston, Owatonna, and Red Wing again.